March along, you little quilters. Drop and give me 20 stitches.
Yes, sir. Well, hello. Welcome to the Scientific Quilters' third annual March Along. What's a March Along? March Along is a month-long project where we encourage each other to work on our quilting projects or sewing projects or other crafty projects for 15 minutes a day during the month of March. It's just an encouragement, a community building exercise where we work on our slow and steady skills. It's been a few months since the beginning of January when everybody had their quilty resolutions out, and we were all focused on getting everything done the entire year. We don't want to get too far away from that, and we want to see if we can just make slow and steady progress and dispel the myth that you need to have a long chunk of time to be an effective quilter, an effective craft. We're building our habits, we're working on our creative muscles. There's a lot of things we can do during the month of March. It does take 15 minutes. Now, I'm going to give you a list of a ton of ideas, things that I could do. I'm not going to hold myself to any one of these. I'm not going to hold any of you to one of these, but I am going to give you some ideas, some things to think about that can maybe jumpstart your creativity and your encouragement during the month of March. So let's talk about what you might find interesting or might end up having time to do during the month of March. Maybe March is the time you organize. Maybe you have all of your emotions in the other places. Maybe this is the time of year you want to put them all back together in the same place, so at least you can find them the next time you need to go to retreat. Trust me, I have packed and unpacked a few times. It's not as much fun. You can cut scraps. So maybe you don't have any idea what you're doing, you have lots of old pieces that are left over. This would be a good time to get 5 inches or whatever scraps you're going to end up using. Something that might end up being a project. Maybe you find some of Bonnie Hunter's free patterns online at quiltville.com, or maybe even Jenny Doan's Missouri Star Quilt Company patterns, and you're like, oh, I need a jelly roll. I'm going to cut myself jelly rolls during the month of March. And it's something you could do. If you just do it for 15 minutes, it doesn't seem that bad. And then you can go on, and by the end of the month you can have a whole jelly roll quilt, or however long it takes you. I'm a slow cutter, so don't worry about that. You can prepare leaders and enders. One thing that I haven't gotten out for like 2 years, or what seems like 2 years, is my periodic, upside down, spiral quilt. So what if I took 15 minutes during the month of March and worked on these embellishments that just, right now they just need to be tacked down. Most of them are glued on. It's one of those things that, you know, you put away. This would be a good time to get some of that type of stuff out. I don't know what I'm going to do. I'm just going to grab my handwork in 15 minutes. Or, you know, doctor's office or whatever, soccer event, track. Okay, probably not track and soccer yet, but you know what I mean. Those other commitments that we have to wait for. Get out your handwork or something like that. Some people are more ethereal when they do the 15 minutes of quilting a day. So some of the other ideas that aren't necessarily doing, but they're kind of thinking about, like you might shop. Now, you probably don't want to shop for 15 minutes every day during the month of March, unless you have a better bank account than a lot of us do. But that's one way to interact, and you can see the quilt on the wall at the shop, and you can see the pattern, and you can look at all the colors, and you can get inspired by just being at a quilt shop. If you don't happen to work at one, that is. You can design. Maybe this is the month that you learn EQ7 or EQ or electric quilt, or Thread Bias has a little project on there where you can design quilts. Maybe that's what you want to do. And this is a quilt I made up just a few minutes ago. A little bit why I need to learn how to get that on there, but it's a slow process. And if I worked on 15 minutes a day, maybe I'd be better EQer, quilt maker on an electric quilt. You can maybe do different colors. there's a lot of things. Some people would rather, they get frustrated that I don't know what to do, I don't have anything out. Maybe you don't have your notions or you don't have your scraps, but you do have internet or you have a phone. You can hop on Twitter with quilters for 15 minutes a day. I know there's a lot of twilters, Twilters, that talk a lot on Twitter, and this is my quilting, and this is what I'm doing, and this is what I'm doing, and they branch off to other things like the health check and everything else, and that's awesome. So some people like that. Other people will maybe make this a month of their blog. Let's write a blog post maybe every day or maybe every other day. Get your writing skills up, get your picture skills up, get your explaining skills up. Maybe you want to write a tutorial for somebody. Maybe you want to make a tutorial or complete a tutorial from somebody else. Maybe you want to learn a new technique. You obviously can just sew for 15 minutes a day. You can work on your leader-ended project. You can work on whatever project is currently your favorite. You can switch projects every day and do 15 minutes each day. Not going to guarantee that you're going to make a lot of progress that way, but as you can see, my brain is a little scattered lately when it comes to projects. And right now that's what's making me happy. So if today I work on this and tomorrow I work on something else, that's okay. And there's no judgment here. You can piece. Some people like the idea of free motion quilting, and this might be a good month to try that. You might say, okay, Leah Day on, what's her thing? It's 365 free motion quilters, but that's probably not, I think she changed her blog name. But Leah Day, you take a class, you can learn free motion quilting, you can practice it every day in March, and think about how great you would be if you practiced just a little every day. And maybe the first couple days you're not even quilting, but you're getting things ready to quilt. You can take other craftsy classes, not just Leah Days, but you can learn how to free motion quilt, you can learn how to piece, you can learn how to applique, you can learn how to put big quilts together. And if you get on the craftsy list, then you get some emails, and they are tempting, and if you're a podcast listener, you can also listen to podcasts during this month of March, or read other people's blogs, encourage other people on their quilting. A lot of people like the idea of craftsy and what you can learn from online video classes. You can maybe take a book and go through a book, and this is an example of a technique I haven't learned, is seminal piecing. I've done a lot of that kind of style. This is the style that's appealed to me. I've got a book on this, I've got a book on folding fabrics, I've got a book on a lot of different techniques that I haven't even tried yet. So this could be a good springboard to say, hey, well, I'm going to try making this design or that design. Or maybe you put yourself in a bee and sew for 15 minutes a day, or make a block a day. That might be a little ambitious. I wouldn't dream I would be able to make a block a day unless they were easy blocks. This might be the month that you decide to make a charity quilt. Maybe you're going to do a strip quilt, and those race quilts, I could do one. I have the fabrics that match. They're not ones that I bought, but I like them, and it would be nice. Other things I just, right off the top of my head thought of the other day, this is a stained glass window technique. I found a free pattern for stained glass. So you could do fusible applique with stained glass on the outside. This would be a nice, simple table runner. There's a lot of pretty ones out there. I might even find different ones. I also have been working myself on an applique that I found, a pattern from Craftsy on a dragon. And so it leads me to making a knight and leads me to castles. This might not be the castle I choose. The castle's been the thing that I've been stuck on for a while. It's one of those, I gotta decide, think about it, and work on it. Up here, and maybe I pull this out, and I really like this castle, how it looks with everything else. And I can arrange around it. Maybe I just take part of this castle idea here and stick it with something else. You can make pincushion. These don't take a terrible amount of time. They're little, just little 5-inch squares that are offset Biscornu pincushion that I made a little while ago. Won't probably take all your 15 minutes, but I spent a little bit of time getting a little board in here and Velcro and a little bag. I found a tutorial online, I'm pretty sure back a while ago. On scientificquilter.com I have a link to the tutorial I used to make this. Not that I made this and made a tutorial, but maybe that's something I should do during the month of March, and maybe I could write a tutorial. That's something have not really done a whole lot of, but it's something I could try during the month of March. Some people will meet up. Last year I met up with So Excited Quilts Jackie, and that was amazing. It was during the month of March, so I could count it during my March along. It was awesome because it was like a double awesome whammy there. Maybe you don't, have computer programs. Don't feel like you have to. I know it's the computer age, but this works just as well. It's a little graph paper. A long time ago on a podcast I talked about it. It's my moleskin thing, and it's got such a tiny little squares. It's so easy to design with, and you don't have to do like the borders that I'm working on for my quilt. Maybe you're just gonna free motion quilt designs, so draw in there. I haven't done this for a while. This is kind of old, but I can get this back out, because one thing I might try to do during my 15 minutes a day, I think you can see this, is this card trick quilt. You can't see the rest of the quilt, but I've got a pattern. I've had a pattern drawn on here for a long time. I just never had the backing. Finally made the backing. Finally basted it yesterday. Just in time for the month of March. It's still cold. It's still dreary, and I'm kind of tired of being cold, but I'm going to be excited about, I'm going to be excited about quilting, because I know I'm going to quilt with you guys, and I know we're going to kick butt and get a lot done. Again, this is Darla on Scientific Quilter, scientificquilter.com. I'm not going to have comments on the video, but please feel free to go to the blog, scientificquilter.com. Check it out. I might have an in link. As of right now, no sponsors. I don't usually do sponsors very well, but I do think that it's going to encourage everybody. I already saw somebody yesterday post about Slow and Steady quilting, and that they said it linked just directly. It was just like perfect timing. So we're thinking the same wavelength here. Me and Robin are like thinking, let's go slow, let's go steady, let's build up our quilting muscles. And I know there's more, obviously. You can iron fabric, you can, there's a lot of ideas. I give you a ton of ideas of things that I might do, and I would encourage maybe you guys to do. And you guys always surprise me with something that you come up with. Again, 3rd annual March Along. Look for March Along on scientificquilter.com, and that's Scientific Quilter, not the Scientific Quilter. Thank you for your time, and have an awesome March. And the drill sergeant is not going to drop and make you give 20 stitches. Alright, have a great day.